Jinwoo smells good, we got a bunch of new A-rank hunters, Jinwoo's getting recruited for more jobs, and we saw Hunter Cha's feet.
Bruh.
Crazy episode for solo leveling. Season 2 episode 5 just dropped, and shocker, but it's amazing. Of course, I will constantly be singing the praises for solo leveling season 2. Kind of like with last episode, we didn't get a ton of action, but we did definitely get more in this episode than we did last week. Also, yes, I'm filming from a different spot. If you've seen my other videos, I've been beneath my bed, because right now I'm on top of my bed. I'm in a dorm room, so recording situations are kind of hard. Hopefully soon, I'll have my own room, my own house, then I can have my own actual studio, things will look better. So just bear with me, please. But I have a little Jujutsu Kaisen eyeballs poster. It's probably AI generated. It's from Amazon, but yeah, there it is. It's cool. Last week we had a pretty decent cliffhanger when we saw Jinwoo trying to enter the boss room because he wanted to take a look at what an A-rank boss looks like. However, Hunter Cha stops him. She's got some kind of handkerchief over her mouth, and she's like, "Dude, what are you doing here? You're just a minor." And of course, we had that whole bit last week about how I kept calling him a miner, and it was just like he mines, he's mining, but I don't like saying miner because, like, he's not. Even though Jin-Ho thinks that Jinwoo's into miners, that's crazy. I never talked about that in episode 3, I'm pretty sure that was. That was just a really weird addition. Before we get too deep into the video, though, make sure you subscribe, because if you like this video, you're probably going to like all my other ones, because they're all me. They're all very similar, but the content's different. Like, they're all good videos, don't get me wrong, but like, if you like this one, you'll like the other ones, trust me. So do yourself a favor and just hit the subscribe button. Also, if you want to talk to me personally, as well as a bunch of other really cool anime people, join my Discord. The link is in the description for this video. Just go do it. Okay, that's enough of the plugs. I'm sorry, but I do kind of have to do that. So anyways, back to the video. So this episode picks up right where last week left off, where Hunter Cha and Jinwoo are kind of interacting for the first time. Also, do I call her Hunter Cha or Hunter Hyen? Let me know. I don't know. Guys, please, just tell me what to do. And I wasn't lying when I said we saw Hunter Cha's feet. It's like 10 seconds of just like looking at her feet too. Like it happened and I was like, okay. And then it just kept happening. I was like, okay. Somebody likes this, but not me. But yeah, Hunter Cha and Jinwoo get to talk a little bit, and Cha comes to the conclusion that, hey, Jinwoo doesn't smell bad. He actually smells pretty good. So we already got some chemistry going on between the two of them. But it's based on scents, so they're like ants and like pheromones and kind of stuff. It's a little weird. I'm not gonna lie, little weird. We're getting a little bit off track for like the typical solo leveling vibe, but hey, it's okay. I'm enjoying the show. Because Jinwoo is just that guy. The entire mining team wants him to stick around and keep working with them because they're ending work significantly earlier than usual because of how good of a mining man, not miner, how good of a mining man Jinwoo is. And the guy overseeing the mining team is even like, Jinwoo, I will pay you 5 times the normal wage if you just work with us. And Jinwoo's like, nah, man, I'll pass, but thank you for the offer, that's very kind. And I'm thinking, manual labor pays pretty decent because of how hard it is. And like, this is like working with magic stuff, so they probably get paid better than like the normal dude who's mining. And he's being offered 5 times what they normally pay. I feel like that's actually a pretty decent offer. Like, yes, Jinwoo can totally make more money in other ways because now he's like an S-rank hunter and all that. But like, I'm thinking, man, that's a lot of money. But after Hunter Cha runs in with Jinwoo, she can't stop thinking about him. She's like, wow, he actually smelled good. All hunters have always smelled bad to me, but he smelled good. Again, kind of weird. Don't really know her vibe. It's just weird. It's just weird. Jinwoo decides to stick around to the mining team for one more day because he hears that there's going to be an A and a C rank dungeon the next day that he could work at, so he wants to stick around and investigate. While he's there, he's doing his thing, he's killing it. Everyone's like, man, Jinwoo, you're the greatest. Thank you so much for working with us. You should come here every day. Because now they've got all this time off. So yeah, for the average worker who just mines crystals, this is a great deal. However, as they're on their lunch break, a man comes up and he's like, hey, I'm a hunter, I'm a captain, I'm leading a squad to go into the A-rank dungeon. We are the second team. We're not the main team, we're the second team, so we're a little bit weaker than team 1. I need someone to help carry all of our stuff. You'll get paid a little bit extra, but I need somebody to carry all of our stuff. And no one there volunteers because, shocker, they're all weak hunters. They don't want to go freaking do that. It's a dangerous dungeon. They know that they would probably die. It's not worth the money. Except, shocker, Jinwoo's like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll carry the gear. I'll do it. You know, he's like hesitantly accepting the role, and everyone's like, dude, you have no idea. It's so dangerous, blah, blah, blah. We've seen this before. we have seen this bit before of Jinwoo volunteering to do something and everyone's like, oh no, what are you doing? So it's getting a little bit old, just a tiny bit old. Hopefully, like, Jinwoo just, like, fully embraces the fact that he's, like, an S-rank hunter and everything, because the bit is starting to get a little worn down. And that's really my only gripe with this episode, is that the shtick of Jinwoo being incredibly strong and no one knowing it is starting to just kind of get repetitive, get a little redundant. The captain happily accepts Jinwoo because he just needs someone to carry the gear. Understandable. Now, it's worth noting that when Jinwoo showed up to the mining camp that day, he got flashbacks to how it felt at the very beginning of Season 1 when he showed up to the double dungeon. Of course, it wasn't the double dungeon when they got there, but it was that episode. He just feels very welcome, and he's not used to that, because up until this point, he's just been kind of doing solo work or working with Jin-ho, just doing his own thing. So he's happy to see people who are happy to see him. It just makes him feel good, which makes sense. I mean, the dude's been kind of on his, like, desolate winter arc thing for the whole past however much time has passed since the double dungeon incident in the beginning of Season 1. So we're in this new dungeon, and we've got a whole squad of multiple A-rank hunters and a handful of B-rank hunters. We've never really seen this many fairly strong hunters, because we've obviously seen some of the S ranks, but we've never really seen this many A ranks on one mission. And these guys are really cool. Honestly, the best part about this episode was just these dudes. Their designs, their powers, their characters, their voice acting. It was all really interesting. We've got like a giant dude in red armor who's got a big sword, a big shield. He's cool. We've got a mage in like a maid outfit. That was kind of weird, but like, okay. The fan service was going a little bit much this episode. Again, we saw like 10 seconds of feet earlier. Then we got girl in a maid outfit, but hey, what are you going to do? But my favorite out of all the hunters was a melee type, and she was like a boxer. She pretty much just went up to these giant orcs and just punched them. Super awesome. But definitely the highlight was just these guys. I mean, this little squad of A-rank hunters were just killing it. They looked so sick. Unfortunately, they weren't actually killing it, because while they're in the dungeon, they come across a group of high orcs. They're just red orcs. They're not actually high on, like, substances. They're just, like, really cool looking, apparently. And apparently very powerful, because it's not an easy fight. And these orcs are just ripping through all of the attacks that these hunters are providing. And of course, Jinwoo is just kind of not visible. We can't see him for a little bit. We're just watching these hunters fight. And they're doing okay. Like, they're holding their own. They're not getting annihilated, but they're not winning by any means. The captain says that one A-rank hunter would be enough for one of these orcs, but unfortunately, the orcs outnumber the A-ranks, plus there's a few B-ranks, so it's kind of like objectively losing here. Except, of course, Jinwoo steps in, because he kind of has to. Otherwise, everybody's gonna die, and he doesn't want that to happen. Except, at this point, he's so strong, he can basically save the day without anybody knowing. So he turns on stealth, goes super speed, and just slices the, like, heels, necks, and wrists of all of the orcs, basically slowing them down to a nonsense speed and making them incredibly susceptible to easy attacks. And thanks to this, our team of hunters is able to kill all the orcs and win for the moment. Also, another thing I found interesting was that we see a mage here heal a dude's arm, which I didn't know was possible in the world of hunting, because in the beginning of Season 1, everyone is kind of shocked to see that Jinwoo has his leg back, but I guess it does make some sense that, like, they were kind of shocked, but they weren't, like, flabbergasted when his leg just grew back. So limb healing makes sense, but that was something I did not think that healers were capable of, because a dude gets his arm cut off and a healer's like, here, I got you, and it just grows back. The arm just comes back. So now our team of hunters are debating if they should leave or if they should keep going, and eventually the captain decides, hey, let's tap out. If we are already that overwhelmed, we probably couldn't take on the boss. Let's just cut our losses, get reinforcements, come back another day. Let's regroup. And none of them have any idea of what just happened. They do know that something odd happened, because obviously all the orcs just suddenly started moving incredibly slowly, but they don't know why. Except for the maid mage. We see her take note of the fact that she knew that Jinwoo went into stealth mode. And she's like, out of all of the mages, did you really think that nobody here would notice? But he's probably got his reasons for being secretive, so I won't say anything. So the maid's on our side, she's chill. But by the time that all the hunters get to the gate, it's purple now, which makes me think we're gonna have a similar, like, red gate incident where it's like you can't leave until you do all this stuff and it's much harder now. But it turns out it's just some kind of, like, seal. The dungeon hasn't, like, leveled up or anything, it's just blocked off. So something there is trying to keep them there. And as the mages are trying to break this seal, they start gushing blood out of their face. Like, their eyes are bleeding, their mouth, it's very freaky. And they sense this greater magic power approaching, and Jinwoo notes that if even the B ranks noted it, it's probably going to be pretty bad. And sure enough, at least 50 higher orcs appear, just all looking as intimidating as ever. And of course, the team had quite a bit of trouble. They actually would have lost if it weren't for Jinwoo against like 7 to 10 orcs. Now there's significantly more. So the captain's like, guys, don't fight. Let's just try to talk this one through, which I didn't think was an option for these dungeons. I didn't know that diplomacy was on the table, but it makes sense because the high orcs aren't completely aggressive. They're kind of willing to talk, and apparently that's actually what they wanted. And the captain approaches the leader of this massive army of orcs, and the orcs kind of start tweaking. Throwback to the Ice Elf King in the Red Gate dungeon where he like kind of glitches a little bit. That's kind of what happens here. I don't know if necessarily it is the same thing because I'm not a master of solo leveling lore, but it is weird because he starts tweaking, his head's like kind of glitching around, shaking, like weird like possessor type stuff, but then he speaks English and he's like, hey, humans, we need to speak with you. We want to take you to our leader and talk to you about stuff. It's very vague, but it's definitely the best case scenario for the hunters right now because they just got kicked by a smaller team of orcs, so they're like, yeah, that's fine. So the team of hunters plus Jinwoo, who's completely dialed in, go with the orcs into their little palace, and we see their leader. He's sitting on this throne, looking as, like, exactly like an orc king would. He's got, like, skulls and stuff all over him, bones. He's got, like, 2 different colored eyes, I think. I might have just made that up. But either way, he looks like an orc king. And the only other thing we get other than that ending is we know that Hunter Cha was looking for Jinwoo, and she went back to the mining site, and the only person she found there was the captain, and the captain explained the situation of where he was. And so Hunter Cha, she's got the feels for Jinwoo, at least a little bit. And that's where the episode ends. It was definitely not as climactic as the first 3 episodes we got, but I'm enjoying this a lot. What I really wish we got was an update on Jinwoo's dad. Unfortunately, we did not, but that's okay. I trust the story. I trust where solo leveling is going to take me down the line because I adore this season so much. I've been seeing some discourse lately about solo leveling, basically saying it doesn't feel that special. It feels like just the average OP character series. And I kind of have to agree with you there. Like I mentioned earlier, the bit of Jinwoo being incredibly powerful and no one realizing it is starting to get a little bit redundant, and I'm hoping we can move past that soon. That being said, I am still really enjoying this series, regardless of the fact that it feels a little bit redundant or a trope that's been played out too many times in other shows. I'm totally okay with it because I haven't seen a ton of anime. I haven't seen like more than 1,000 different shows. So I'm totally down with solo leveling doing this bit because it's great for me. Cliffhangers suck, but they are definitely fun. What did you think of the episode? Make sure you let me know down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end of the video. I really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button. I'll see you in the next one.